Hi, just going to talk about the construction aspects of my products at the minute. Really, it's been pretty straightforward so far because my plans were quite good and I haven't really gone away from them too much. Start again with the radio advert. It's quite straightforward to construct this. Largely because quite a lot of the audio I'm actually using in the actual documentary project, so it's just a case of taking the audio files and putting them into the radio advert project, which that is rather straightforward. Other than that, it's just recording other audio to put in with there and just putting a music soundtrack in there, which again I had a good idea of a track that I wanted to use. It's quite up-tempo. I didn't have this in my plan, but I did have a good idea of tracks that I could use, not only for the radio advert, but for the actual project as well. So, yeah, that was all in the pipeline, so to speak. There isn't a lot of changes that I've made, really, to the radio advert. Maybe slightly the layout. Again, this is probably due to perhaps what people said in their interviews, but I believe in my plan I put the archive audio to come in first, and yeah, I've kept to that. And then really a lot of it has just been kept the same, due to the fact that I had a clear idea of what I wanted, really. Moving on again to the double page magazine spread. There's been a few changes here. Some of the colours, that was really based on some of the advice that I had, saying that perhaps I could make the colours correspond with the two teams I'm talking about. I quite like this idea, so hence I decided to incorporate it. Other than that, some of the images are largely what I had in my second version of the article. The only thing I've added in is the two elements of both clubs' badges. I just thought, again, that added a bit more of a personal touch to it, made it a bit more specific, and instantly people can sort of hopefully recognise what it is that the article's on about, and ultimately what the documentary is going to be all about. Other than that, a lot of it is more or less the same. I think all the text is more or less the same. But again, I planned that reasonably well and had a pretty thorough idea of what I wanted. And I think really that is the main thing. I had a good idea of what I wanted, and hence why I have maintained that. Yeah. So, yeah, like I say, no real changes to both, but again, their construction hasn't been too hard. For example, I've put a couple of things in or on the page about the magazine article, just sort of showing how I put in like text bubbles and stuff like that. But a lot of it is just basically readjusting font sizes, making sure everything fits quite nicely. Background colours, like I say, and yeah, a lot of it's just colours and shapes. Pictures, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The one thing, probably the hardest thing I did out of both of these ancillary tasks was I had to crop and sort of cut round the two main elements of the club's badges. So for example, the Norwich Canary, I took that off the badge, like cut around it and transferred it into this article. That was probably the hardest thing I did, but really it wasn't too bad because I knew how to do it, and yeah, it didn't take me too long at all. Just all about being quite precise. So yeah, but that's really all there is to talk about the construction stage. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to show you the final things shortly.